What is going on? What in blue blazes is that? Ooh. What is going on with this? Hi, I'm Alan Smith. Welcome to the show. You know, when you think about superpowers, it'd be really fun to have, wouldn't they? You know, like X-ray vision, super strength, or the ability to fly. These qualities make an individual who wields these powers special. Well, it may not be like in the comic books, but there are real things out there with super abilities. And the great thing is you don't have to look very far to find them. Hydrangeas. Who doesn't love them? And it's because, I think in part, because of their color, but more importantly, it's these super-sized blossoms. Just look at these gorgeous things. They're just beginning to open. It's an old-fashioned favorite that continues to inspire people. Now, what's interesting about this is its Latin name, Hydrangea macrophylla, suggests that it is big. It has big leaves, and these blooms are just exquisite. Now, generally, these macrophylla hydrangeas are broken into two categories, and it's based on the shape of the bloom. This is called the mop-head hydrangea, and then its close cousin is here. You can see this beautiful plant. This is called the lace cap because it looks like a 19th century lace cap that a lady might wear. And what's interesting is that it's the sterile flowers. These flowers are the ones that really capture our attention. The actual flowers are here, these little tiny ones that you can see on the lace cap, which makes this a fascinating plant. Now, everybody wants to know how they can change the color of their hydrangeas, and it's just with some basic chemistry. What you're going to do is you're just going to change the soil pH, meaning you're going to make the soil a little more alkaline or sweeter using some lime if you want the hydrangeas to be pink like these. Now, if you prefer a blue hydrangea, what one would do is make the soil chemistry a little more acidic. And you can do that by adding some aluminum sulfate, and that will cause them to move toward the blue range. It'll go through pink, through purple to blue. Now, whether they're pink or they're blue or they're a lace cap or a mop head, hydrangeas offer that supersized, dramatic quality to the garden that always turns heads. You're going home with me. Coming up, how to get your chickens to be superstar layers. And a little later, an easy super snack with a very popular green.
Hi, what can I get for you, honey?
Oh, well, you know, I don't know. I need to take a look here. You know, there's so many choices here, it may take me a minute.
Oh, not a problem.
You know, I just love eggs, any way I can get them. And the fresher, the better, even if they come out of your own backyard. You see, free-range hens tend to lay eggs that have a richer flavor and many more nutrients, with twice the omega-3s, vitamin E, and 4 to 6 times as much vitamin D. The best news of all, they also lay less saturated fat and cholesterol than supermarket eggs. Eggs, like just about any other food item, are best as fresh as you can get them because they'll lose flavor as time passes. I wonder if I can get these Eggs Benedict to go. Now, you may be wondering where you can get the freshest eggs. Fresh eggs do taste a lot different than those store-bought eggs. Of course, you can always visit the neighborhood farmer's market, find a restaurant that's sourcing locally raised food, or better yet, take the plunge and invest in a backyard flock of your own. So you may be asking, what breed should I get? Well, for newbies, I recommend if you want lots of white eggs, you go with the Leghorns or the white-faced black Spanish. If you're into brown eggs, you may want to go with an old standby like Plymouth Rocks or even some of those beautiful golden buff Orpingtons. You know, it's probably obvious, but healthy chickens are going to be a lot more productive in the egg business. And you also just want to make sure that they have everything they need. Again, it may be obvious, but you know, if they don't have all of the raw materials to produce these delicious eggs, you're just not going to get as many. And speaking of needs, proper nutrition should be right up there at the top of the list. He agrees. Inadequate nutrition can result in low levels of energy, protein, and calcium, which can all lead to a drop in egg production. This is why it's so important to supply your birds with a constant supply of nutritionally balanced layer feed. This is formulated to promote peak egg production and ensure longevity. This nutrient-dense concentrate is made only with natural grains and proteins balanced with vitamins and minerals for optimal egg development, quality eggshell formation, and extended hatchability without added antibiotics or animal proteins. The other thing you want to give your chickens is as much free-range grass as possible. I love to get my birds outside and let them run around the lawn eating insects and lots of that green stuff. You know, the benefit of having a few chickens around far outweighs the cost. Just think about all these delicious eggs you're going to have for years to come if you just keep a few hens in the backyard. Yeah, you can't have any roosters probably, but you don't need roosters to have delicious, fresh, and healthy eggs. Give it a try. Go get you some birds. Up next, we take a look at a versatile berry that's as delicious as it is healthy. So stay with us. I love berries. Just about any kind you can name, I'm crazy about them. Look at these blueberries, and they're in good company. Just behind them, you can see we're finishing up a raspberry crop. Delicious. Let's get back to the blueberries for just a moment. You see, you might call these nature's little superheroes when it comes to nutrition. They're just packed full of vitamins and antioxidants. They're really good for you. And blueberries can be a little challenging to grow, but if you get a few things right, they're actually pretty easy. Now, you may want to keep in mind that blueberries require 2 different varieties to pollinate and set fruit like this. So you need at least 2 varieties of these, which isn't such a bad idea. Not only is the fruit really attractive, but in the fall, these plants have beautiful foliage. It just looks like it's on fire. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind for the culture of blueberries. They like really acidic soil. So a lot of blueberry farmers use ammonium sulfate. That helps to make the soil a little more acidic. Also, you want to plant them kind of high in a really loose kind of soil. I tend to like to burn them up or put them in raised beds, as you see here. And then we use a straw mulch, but you can use compost or anything like that to help keep the soil consistently moist. There are lots of varieties, and there are lots of varieties being developed all the time. So there's a blueberry out there for you. They also grow well in containers, so don't let space be a limitation for you growing these wonderful fruits. You know, I can't say enough good things about blueberries. They're the perfect food and easy to grow. Whether you have room or not, remember, try to grow some in containers. Hey, I just about have enough here for a pie. After the break, we're going to be chopping broccoli. Now, broccoli may not be everyone's favorite superfood, but after this fabulous salad, it just might be bumped up to the top of your list. I want to share with you one of my favorite springtime recipes. The reason I'm so enthusiastic about this recipe is that it uses one of my favorite springtime vegetables, and that's broccoli. You know, broccoli is one of those marvelous plants that if you're one of those early bird type people that want to get out in the garden like well before spring, you can plant broccoli because it can really take the cold. And it's a superfood. So what is there not to like about broccoli and even growing some of it yourself? Now, for this recipe, it takes really very few ingredients. We're gonna start by making a dressing, and that's using the zest and the juice of 2 lemons. So I'm just juicing this last lemon here. And what I wanna do is I wanna make sure that I get out all of the lemon seed. You can see there's just a few in there that we want to take out. Do that with a fork. So I'm going to take the juice and add it to this. And then I've got 6 tablespoons of hazelnut oil. I'm going to add to it. And then of course we can't forget the lemon zest. Goes in there like that. It's really light and fluffy. And I'm going to take just a dash of salt, just a little sea salt there, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground white pepper. All right, all that's in there, and we're just going to mix it together like this. Simple, 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 but very, very flavorful. All right, now next, what you're going to do is you're going to take and cut the florets off of some stalks of broccoli. You want 4 cups of florets. What I did here is I steamed them for about 4 to 5 minutes, pulled them out of the steamer, and dunked them immediately into ice water. So I have these nice sort of al dente pieces of broccoli. Has just a little bit of crunch to it. Perfect. Just take this plate. I'll take the dressing and I'm gonna add most of it to the broccoli like this, saving just a little bit. Mix this up with my hands. You wanna make sure that all the florets are completely covered like this. And then to this, you wanna add 1/2 cup of toasted hazelnuts. I love the flavor of these. They are so good. And all I did was just toast those in a pan on the stove. It took about 5 minutes. And then you just want to put it on a plate to serve like this, and you can drizzle the rest of the dressing over it. This is a delicious and healthy light side for many entrees. Give it a try. You'll be glad you put this early spring vegetable to good use. Coming up, Chef Alexis Jones stops by for a superfood challenge. You won't want to miss it.
There's a classification of foods that have a lot of antioxidants and good vitamins and nutrients, and they're classified as superfoods. Blueberries is a type of fruit that comes to mind quickly, but also greens like spinach, kale, and chard are all superfoods. So we decided to take some chard out of the garden, and since it's a superfood that is not utilized a lot, we wanted to put a recipe together using chard, but was a healthy version of creamed greens. The alternative to dairy was to make a vegetable puree. So I used parsnips and celery root and roasted them to get a little caramelization and bring out the sweetness of these great root vegetables. Celery root, or celiac, is often a little intimidating to people at the grocery store. When you cut it, you want a smaller, even-sized cut so that they roast at the same time. And I go for about a 1/4 inch cut. Doesn't have to be perfect. It can be a rustic square. I took the diced celery root and parsnips and tossed each in oil and salt and then laid them on a baking sheet to cook in the oven, 375-degree temperature. It takes about 20 minutes. You want to separate them because the celery root will take a little bit longer than the parsnips. You just want to make sure that they're fork tender. I took about half of a cup of both parsnip and celery root and blended them together with about a quarter cup of chicken stock and a tablespoon of butter. An alternative to chicken stock, if you wanted to keep it vegetarian, is you could use a vegetable stock. You could use water, and you could also use milk or heavy cream if you want to keep it richer. So I blended it to a smooth consistency, and you could take it a little bit further and add more stock and make a soup from there, or use the puree as a sauce itself. After the puree was finished, I took some shallots and the chard stems and sauteed them, and folded in the chard leaves with a little bit of the puree. And then I finished with some sherry vinegar and lemon. This dish could be substituted with other greens such as spinach or kale that are also, great superfoods.
Want to learn more? Visit pallensmith.com for delicious recipes, garden tips, blog posts, and for our online store. Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. There's so many super things in the world. It's just a matter of recognizing them. And some of the most extraordinary things come in the simplest packages. Until next time, I'm Alan Smith. Get away from my food. This is my food.